welcome to your Synastry report. This is the Peace Dealer, and I hope you gain the utmost of quality from this report. I'm actually very excited to do this Synastry reading. I just love doing compatibility reports. However, I noticed, and this is why I love doing these reports, I noticed very interesting patterns shared between you two. That, in reading a lot of these charts, I can tell you right off the bat, is not just a coincidence. And it just reinforces, why it's so fascinating to look into these dynamics. So yeah, we're going to really kind of unveil and illuminate these. Then we'll move into the composite chart. And just further break through this understanding. And as you can see, this is a chart of both of your charts together. That being said, as we can see, both of you were born within a year of each other. So the first thing I like to look at in Synastry charts is the sun and moon conjunction. If one sun is conjunct the other's moon, if not, I look for oppositions and squares to the sun. All right. We do see that both of you share a moon sign. That is that in and of itself is a very simple and basic way to say two people are soulmates. Of course, soulmate in a non-romantic context, and just literally speaking of souls who are mates to each other, right? This could be romantically, this could be platonically, but the way both of you are receptive to phenomena takes the same flavor, okay? It's in the same room. It would be in the same team, all right? Maritza was born in the 1982 Cancer basketball team, and Joseph was born in the 1981 Libra basketball team. All right. But both of you share the similar soul space, albeit with different angles. As we've covered, Maritza, your moon makes a 255-degree angle to the sun, and Joseph's moon makes a 183-degree angle to his sun. Sagittarius signature, Libra signature. Okay. Sag coming into Capricorn and then full on Libra. So that's definitely very significant. However, what I noticed before that, which I thought was very interesting, deals with your sons. But before I get to that point, both of you are born within a year apart. That's one of the first things I look at in a Synastry chart to account for any age gap and to see how the outer planets speak to each other. Age gaps in relationships are cool because the outer planets, in a way, can align with each other, and they give a dynamic that's very unconventional and can help promote the nature of a relationship. However, seeing two people who are born the same year or a year apart is also cool because, as we can see, you both have the nodes in the same sign. You have the outer planets in the same sign. The cool thing about being born within a year or the same year is that the outer noise, the white noise, and the outer influences that influenced you are going to, of course, be similar. So, if you were dating someone or if you were with someone that was like 9 years older or younger than you, or 5 to 7 years older than younger than you, the music that was popular at the time that both of you were in school were different. The events and the culturally defining moments that shaped your adulthood are different, right? Whereas with Joseph, it's going to be the same. You know what I mean? Like what was popular when you were a kid was also popular when he was a kid. Albeit the way with which both of you interface that will reflect how unique both of you are. You still have those same influences. As we can see, Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, all in Libra. Your Jupiter, of course, on his Mercury, which we will also speak on, because you expand the depth with which his brain can psychoanalytically process information. Okay. Other than that, though, in taking this into context, he was born when the North Node had just shifted into Cancer. Okay. And you were born right after it was ready to leave near the end of the year. So we call this a baton pass effect. Like me being born in 1990, connecting with anyone born 1991 or 89, right? Basically the themes that were established 81, you continued with this progression of outer planets. Uranus that he has in Scorpio, you have in Sagittarius, but the Neptune is still obviously in Sag. Now let's get deeper here. Both of your moons are in Aries. So whereas he has the classic social balanced spirit of the artist and activist, and you have the individual psychic and holy spirit of the priestess or of this cardinal bishop, right, of power, both of you have this soul space of authenticity and originality. And this is really cool. As a moon in Capricorn, I naturally just instantly click with other moon in Capricorns. It's like how you can click with a Cancer sun and I'll click with the Gemini because our sun signs are the same. But then we have like people who have our same moon sign. It just feels good. You don't have to explain your emotions to people who share the same moon sign as you because they react to a degree similarly to you. Both of you are going to react very passionately and instinctually to situations. He's just going to have a much more logical, objective approach. You're going to have a much more deeper emotionally, I don't want to say emotional intelligence, as EQ isn't objectively measured, but you definitely have a much more psychic integration of these feelings. And both of them, as we will see, actually help. This is where the subjectivity of your Cancer sun will help with his objective spirit, and the objectivity of his Libra sun will balance your Cancer sun. We'll get into that. So not only do you have the similar lunar space, your risings are within a degree of each other, or within degrees of each other. His rising is 6 degrees. Your rising is 29 degrees. It's within 10 degrees. So your risings are pretty much the same. Your moons are in the same sign. And then your suns are both 20 degrees. And this is where seeing these three aspects together is like hitting the lottery 3 times in a row. It's very rare. It's very rare. It's extremely rare. And that makes me look at a connection and partnership like this as more than just random. Not like, fate had to make it so that you were meant to be together, right? But albeit we could make that argument too, because you do light up his destiny. So all the North Node Cancers, especially the ones born in 2004, I think, or 2001, before it went into Gemini, you light up their destiny. Okay. So in a sense, you are his destiny. Like you will challenge him to express this subjectivity sincerely and to transform who he trusts. You in your 8th house and his 8th house will greatly challenge this. All right. Where you can both rest into the values you have and the organization, but how do you express that individually to people you deal with? Something to keep in mind. So with that being said, okay, the 20-degree exact square, very rare. Like that just doesn't just happen. You know what I mean? And I love exact degrees like this. So that means that your Cancer sun makes an exact 270-degree angle to his sun in Libra, meaning that your individualized awareness, albeit that you've both progressed long since this point, right? Like your son's probably progressed in Virgo, his son's probably progressed in Sag, if not Capricorn. But your individualized Cancer sun awareness is going to exalt and complete. In fact, the reason why this is important is, and that's why it's really cool when you're born close to each other. Okay. This is what's going to add more symbolic meaning to this. One, right? Both of you came from the same place. It's not like a North Node in Cancer who was born 12 or 20 years after you. So both of you have it in the same sign, but it's not the same quality. Like by then Saturn is in Cancer, right? Or Saturn's coming out of Taurus. You, right, and him came from the same past life. If you don't believe in past lives, South Node represents early childhood development and what you really, of course, learned and broke through coming into adulthood, right? But regardless, let's just say as an analogy, South Node is where you came from, North Node is where you're going. So even though both of you have different, ways of expressing the similar soul space, you come from the general broad same area and you're going towards the same place. It doesn't have to be exactly the same place, but it's important to align because you have similar qualities. Quite literally. He was born, right? And then we crossed into 1982. And before he had his first birthday, you were born. This is why I always look at the year of the birth. You're not just 10th house to him. You are the completion of his spirit. Like, this directly links you to him and his development. Does that make sense? I want to make sure that that's why I love Synastry. And that's why looking at the cycles is very important. It's not like, once again, a Cancer born in 86, who there were several cycles before they were born. They're still going to have a connection. Connection exists regardless. But this makes it more personal. You represent the completion, right? To the degree of the balanced actions he takes. You're going to really transform and inspire what success he can come into. Cancer in the 10th house to Libra opens up career opportunities, whereas he, of course, is 4th house to your sun. All right. His sun makes a 90-degree angle to your sun. So the social balance of objective focus is going to be the foundation of the subjective nature of your psychic awareness and this emotional intelligence or the emotional awareness, right? This is where air holds space for water. Without air, water will be unpurified and irrational and illogical. So he's going to provide more social support to take the way you deal with others and to now, of course, in your 11th, light up this social circle of influence where all your karma and expansion is and awakening as well. And unlike his Mars that's in Leo, your Mars is in social Libra. So both of you have social action orientation. Leo, Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio integrate individuality of the first 4 signs. So his action is going to be a lot more bold and passionate. And your action is going to be a lot more altruistic and seriously gangster. Now, Mars in a woman's chart represents desire. It could also represent aggression. So it's not too uncommon to see Mars on someone else's sun representative to someone who you fight with and with someone who, you might have bad blood with. But for the woman, when a man's sun is on a woman's Mars or AC, he now indicates that he's the object of her desire. So this could also represent him stimulating this powerful sexual desire relative to the actions he takes. And whether this teeters the line of, desire versus aggressive hatred or disliking really represents and depends on the integrity through the interaction, rising as well. So that's also very interesting. I've experienced this firsthand. I met a woman for the first time ever. I never knew her before then. I just looked at her chart and I saw that her Mars and Eros was on my sun in Gemini. And right as I was thinking that, she told me to take off my shirt. And yeah, things happened right after that. And that's what really taught me the direct nature of Mars. You know what I mean? Like how these things are stimulated. And even outside of a sexual context, he is going to bring awareness to the way you take action and integrate this completion through your social ventures. What's also interesting, once again, is that your Jupiter that falls on his Mercury is going to apply this psychoanalytical and psychological expansion to really intensely expand how much more he can dig deeper and process deeper into a situation. Or will be his progressed Mercury is probably back in Libra, or has probably gone direct and left. But his Jupiter on your Mars and Pluto is going to also bring expansion relative to what more you can do socially. All right. So we also once again see your ACs are close together, even though he has his more in Sag and yours is at the end of Scorpio. It's close enough to Sag to where your entire first house with the equal sign system is in Sagittarius. So with his Venus on his AC, he embodies this amazing and visual quality of beauty, nature of beauty, all right, ascended beauty. His embodiment of this is reflected through your personality. And so with his Venus in your first, you embody the nature of his heart that also reflects his embodiment as well. It's like looking in the mirror. And of course, he may find a lot to see that he loves in the unconventional nature of your personality. Or at the very least, when I say love, I mean appreciation, right? Whether this burns romantically hot or whether it's just a I like you type of thing, it's still very dynamic. And the presence of Uranus that you have next to his Venus can induce anywhere from falling in love at first sight to just unconventional genius that innovates the way both of you express yourself with each other. And knowing that your Juno is here, it will lightly connect with his Neptune and also, his Venus and AC, so that he represents this unconventional embodiment of the commitment you desire, right? Of this adventurousness. Now, another thing to keep into account is that your Venus is opposite his Venus, which with this 180 plus degree angle harvests his more visual and explorative heart. I don't know if explorative is a word, but his more visual and adventurous heart with your intellectual and enlightened heart. Okay. Your heart is the word in the dictionary. His heart is what that word means. Show and tell. And of course, now that that's in his seventh house, Venus in his seventh house will represent the qualities you have that he desires in a partner. All right. Someone who can really communicate and put into words who he sees himself as and how he, of course, perceives the meaning of situations. We do see that both of your MCs are also in Virgo, enabling, of course, you to share aspects of your legacy, albeit the way both of you approach it will be subtly different. Him with the Libra sun, you with the Cancer sun. But doesn't necessarily change how real both of you approach with strategy and analysis success. And as we've mentioned before, the North Node is in the same sign. So with the sun that you have near his node, it's going to challenge him to really live up to this more self-defined transformation of expressing his values and dealing with the right people. But in a sense, I always like to say when the North Node is on someone's sun, that sun sign is their destiny. And it does align with some element of karma with Saturn, but destiny with the nodes. Now, Chiron, you both have in Taurus. And it falling in both of your sixth house put in a position the opportunity to both heal, of course, the values that integrate the behavioral patterns. Albeit since your rising is at the end of Scorpio, your Chiron does connect to the DC here in Taurus, but they both do fall in the sixth house, which I think will definitely accentuate more of this natural healing quality. All right. And yeah, with that being said, that is a bit of how to see this synastry chart between you both. We've highlighted the 20-degree nature of your suns that express itself in different states, or elements rather. Both of you have the cardinal state, but they express themselves at different elements. So the purpose of this clash is, at that spiritual level, you're meant to challenge each other. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have sometimes a more personal understanding and awareness that makes sense to you, and he's going to have a much more socially objective awareness that will clash with what you feel, right? Sometimes your feelings and awareness have to put him in check because maybe he's not taking into account crucial context, and maybe the way you feel about things has to be put in check because he brings a social context that adds more understanding, right? But both of this is meant to help each other out. Can't really go or lean. One person can't always be right. Even though I like to say Libra superpowers that they're always right, Cancer is usually right as well. And it's going to be a lot more nuanced relative to how you work through these differences. But now, because both of you understand things in a very original and authentic way, this connection of your souls will take a clash like this and actually enable it to work so much better. It doesn't mean that you still won't have clashes. And because you both have similar understanding, you'll understand more what can tick off the other person. But seeing a unison of personality and soul enables such incompatibility or challenges to really be overcome, especially because, you in a sense feel similar, and this will provide more unique understanding towards how it is you approach and share with each other. With the Neptune and the Uranus rising, both of you express genius in a way that's going to be unconventional to other people. It could be easy for people. If, for example, I'm not going to say this happens to you, but an example of this is, because what you do goes against what is traditionally established or innovates beyond it, people can call you a fraud. People can call you a grifter when you actually the real deal and you actually are putting in good work behind what you're doing. They're just afraid to accept stuff that betrays what they've established is already, final, but is anything but. And this is what, with Uranus on your risings, make you innovators. It makes you transcend outdated beliefs, outdated understandings, outdated knowledge, and it puts you in a position to realistically now ascend moving forward, and putting you in a position to realistically show others the meaning while embodying that meaning as well. So as we look into your composite chart, we do see that the sun you had meets in Virgo. So both of you are geared towards the development of your legacy. Both of you with Mars, Venus, Sun, and Mercury take this social conscious awareness and this individualized psychic awareness and meet at a socially defined analytical awareness that is going to have both of you push forward to achieve success together. All right, so this is a socially themed and oriented partnership with universal embodiment. It's good to see the marriage asteroid Juno here if you were kind of interested in that. It doesn't have to be strictly romantic. It's just going to represent this embodiment of commitment that you both transcend with Neptune here, as we see the moon meets in 14 degrees and the north node 20 degrees Cancer is where both of your north nodes shift and meet, taking this challenge of the values you both unlock in your own finances and deal with others to transform deeper intimacy and to open up a lot of wealth. And that's where this cross with the karma and the expansion and the awakening in the 11th will be both felt with this harvest point. The moon opposite Saturn, very interesting, as we can see here. And really, revealing in the way with which this opposition will organize and strain how the shared authenticity you have aligns with this very powerful house and social authority. So his sun here is going to make him aware of these themes, whereas your sun in the 8th is going to make you more aware of what you're both destined to achieve. And these are both of the functions and roles you're meant to really play out together, which is why it's very important to be on the same page. And is significant relative to the South Node in Virgo, which is currently unlocking your partnerships together. So that's very relevant, especially with the North Node, that you're both destined to perhaps integrate. This could be moving in together or consolidating your heart. I'm just approaching this as I'm not assuming you guys are romantically involved. I'm just reading this platonically, right? But should that be the case, whether in a platonic or romantic setting, it's going to really unlock more of the trust you both have for each other and the private beliefs that will shape your vision of yourselves. Other than that, you guys stay blessed as always. Thank you, Maritza, for ordering this once again. And I'm definitely looking forward to your feedback.